Right, here we go. Here we go. Right, so we have a tree here. Not a very good looking tree. All the bark's falling off. All on the left hand side. Look on the left hand side of that tree. Look on the right hand side. That's alright. Yeah. Right, well look at the right hand side of the tree. Look at the flower. Look at the bushes. Look at the green bushes. Yeah. Very nice. Look at the left hand side. Dead. Do you know why? Because that's right next to it. Look at this. Have you seen anything like that in your life? It's got a light right there. The transmitter on the top. Now how is that? Explain that. The right hand side of the tree that's not next to the transmitter, the growing away from it, is okay. I mean look at this, look how shocking. Look at all the bark falling off. All dead. Totally dead. Far too close to them lights. Look at the bark. All on the left hand side, look. Look how close it is to the light. These 5G transmitters are lethal. If that's what it's doing to a tree, right next to a tree, think about what these are doing to our health. Just think about that for a minute.
Huh? What is this? Dude, it's a simple answer. You're working on something. I want to know. I'm answering. What is it? Hello? Do you know what you're putting up here? What is this? I have to check my bloody EMF reader to see what it's getting. Right next to a kid's playground. Let's see what it reads. Holy shit! Dude, this is off the scale, man. You're trying to give people cancer. This is off the scale. Right next to a kid's, this is where kids are playing. What's wrong with you? Do you have a family, dude? Is this fucking 5G, yeah? Is this 5G? This shit's reading off the bloody scale, man. You guys gonna give people cancer. What's wrong with you? That's 5G, and he's put it right next to the kids' playground. He's gonna give people cancer. This thing's reading off the scale. Look. Bad. And he's filming back at me. What are you filming at me for? Coronavirus, and you guys are out here during a lockdown all over the country and in schools installing fucking 5G, yeah? I saw the box yesterday, the guy in the video he put up. It said Huawei on there. China. Chinese 5G, yeah? Yeah, keep filming me. Keep filming me. Keep filming me. I'm filming the meat on this bad. And I ain't even close to this. You're going to give all your kids cancer too, yeah? That's how the coronavirus is spreading. Wuhan, China, they put up 10,000 of these. And then people started getting sick. Yeah? And in Spain as well. Sorry, Italy. Milan was a test bed. They put these out in Italy as well. People started getting sick. And they all got vaccinated before they put it up. All of them. You know what happened after World War I? They put up radar and they put up these same frequencies and towers and people...
Hi guys.
Hello.
Do you work for the NHS?
No.
Who do you work for?
For community fiber.
So what are you laying?
Fiber.
Fibre. What kind of fibre?
Fiber optic, 5G ones.
But you're not supposed to be within 2 meters of each other, and you're supposed to be essential. Is this essential work?
I think so. I don't know. He just sent me to do the job. I just can't.
So I don't understand. It's not essential, and you don't work for the NHS. So why are you doing it? Does it not negate the government's guidelines?
Yeah, if you want to make a complaint.
Who do I complain to? Who's your boss?
I have a number for a courtesy board. Where is the white van and the red barriers? If you want to call.
But do you know what you're doing there? You're laying 5G.
Yeah.
You realise that, don't you? Yeah?
Yeah.
So you know that kills people. You know when they turn this on, it's going to kill everyone, and that's why they're building the hospitals.
Yeah, but
How do you feel? Do you have children?
No, I'm young.
Do you have parents? You're-
Just my mom.
Well, how do you feel that when they turn that switch on, bye bye mama, are you content to continue doing that job? Are they paying you well enough to kill her? You've just admitted that you're laying 5G, so that's basically why we're all inside, why you've got free reign of London. No?
Everybody is one 5G.
Well, everyone will be dead, so who's going to be playing on the internet and who's going to be on their PlayStations? We'll all be in hospital with on breathing apparatus. Why do you think they're building 25,000 sort of concentration camps of death in the London Excel right now? It's because of this wire here. I'm not having to go at you guys. I'm just saying, like, honestly, that's exactly what you're doing. It's dangerous. I just wish that, you know, I'm glad that I'm happy that you've told me what you're doing, but ultimately I'm just so, yeah, it's a disgrace. Not for you guys, but that wire is,
Everybody is not.
it's not for everyone. It's not going to be for everyone. You don't know the symptoms of it. It's a kill switch. But anyway, thank you anyway.
Welcome.
Bye.
Thank you.
The phone company Sprint shut down a cell phone tower on the campus of a California elementary school after some parents said it may be linked to several recent cases of childhood cancer. Now, those families at Weston Elementary School in Ripping claim the tower could have exposed their kids to harmful radiation. Sprint says the tower is safe and has operated well below federal safety limits, but the company turned it off anyway and plans to move it to a new location. Carter Evans spoke to the families at the center of the controversy.
My son missed growing up with his friends. My son lost all of his hair. It's not something that I wish on anybody, to watch their child go through what our children have gone through.
Kelly Prime's son Kyle was just 10 years old when he was diagnosed with kidney cancer in 2016. 5 months later, Kyle's friend and classmate Mason Ferrulli developed brain cancer.
14 hours to get the tumor out, and he had 5 weeks of inpatient rehabilitation. He had to learn to walk, talk, eat, everything all over again.
2 more kids at the school were diagnosed this year.
At what point are you saying, we ought to take a close look at the school here?
The moment that I found out that Mason had been diagnosed, it popped into my mind that something was not okay.
The moms believe the recent increase in cancer cases could be caused by radiation from radio frequency, or RF waves, coming from this cell tower located on the elementary school campus.
It is classified as a possible carcinogen. That tells us that there is some evidence out there. We're not naive to the fact that there could be other components out there, other environmental influences, but the bottom line that we feel in regards to this tower is it doesn't belong there if there's any indications that it's unsafe.
You figure it's not worth the risk?
Absolutely.
The school district hired engineers to measure the exposure and concluded the tower met government and industry standards in all respects and posed no threat to student safety. The parents hired their own investigator, who found much higher RF levels than the district did, but still within government safety standards.
Sprint takes safety very seriously.
Sprint's Dharma Nordell says 3 tests have shown the cell tower is operating 100 times below the federal limit.
Let me just ask you flat out, does Sprint believe that tower could be causing cancer?
Absolutely not. It is not a safety concern to the community, but we do hear the community's concerned, so we're quickly working to relocate the tower.
Whenever you hear of cases of cancer in a child, obviously that itself is alarming. When there's several cases in one school, that's even more alarming.
CBS News medical contributor, oncologist David Agus, says the number of cases warrants further investigation. But he says people exposed to RF waves at normal levels have not been found to be at higher risk for developing cancer.
The way to study this is to look at the incidence of cancer in proximity to these towers. We have to look at epidemiologic data, but the data to date, both in adults and children, don't point to these causing cancer.
The American Cancer Society says there is very little evidence to support the idea that being near a cell tower might increase the risk of cancer. But it also says very few human studies have focused specifically on that risk.
Do you believe the oncologists who say cell towers can't cause cancer?
I believe that everybody wants to believe our government. Technology is what it is, and it's growing, and it's growing out of control.
Ferrulli's son's cancer has returned. and he's now undergoing treatment. Prime's son Kyle is in remission, but he still undergoes scans every 3 months.
I've looked into his eyes and I've looked at the fear that he has as a 9-year-old facing something, asking me, Mom, am I gonna die? It would push you to fight as well. It would push any parent to fight. I won't stop until it's done, until that thing is gone.
For CBS This Morning, Carter Evans, Ripon, California.
This is Dr. Cameron Kyle Seidel, ER and critical care doctor from New York City. 9 days ago, I opened an intensive care unit to care for the sickest COVID-positive patients in this city. In these 9 days, I have seen things I have never seen before. In treating these patients, I have witnessed medical phenomenon that just don't make sense in the context of treating a disease that is supposed to be a viral pneumonia. 9 days ago, I presumed I was opening an intensive care unit to treat patients with a virus causing a pneumonia that was ravaging lungs across the world, starting out as something mild, a cough, a sore throat, and progressively increasing in severity until ultimately ending in something called acute respiratory distress syndrome, or ARDS. This is the paradigm that every hospital in the country is working under. This is the disease, ARDS, that every hospital is preparing to treat. And this is the disease, ARDS, for which in the next 2 to 6 weeks, 100,000 Americans might be put on a ventilator. And yet, everything I've seen in the last 9 days, all the things that just don't make sense, the patients I'm seeing in front of me, the lungs I'm trying to improve, have led me to believe that COVID-19 is not this disease, and that we are operating under a medical paradigm that is untrue. In short, I believe we are treating the wrong disease, and I fear that this misguided treatment will lead to a tremendous amount of harm to a great number of people in a very short time. As New York City appears to be about 10 days ahead of the country, I feel compelled to get this information out. COVID-19 lung disease, as far as I can see, is not a pneumonia and should not be treated as one. Rather, it appears as some kind of viral-induced disease, most resembling high-altitude sickness. It is as if tens of thousands of my fellow New Yorkers are on a plane at 30,000 feet and the cabin pressure is slowly being let out. These patients are slowly being starved of oxygen. I have seen patients dependent on oxygen take off their oxygen and quickly progress through a state of anxiety and emotional distress and eventually get blue in the face. And while they look like patients absolutely on the brink of death, they do not look like patients dying of pneumonia. I have never been a mountain climber, and I do not know the conditions at base camp below the highest peaks in the world. But I suspect that the patients I'm seeing in front of me look most like as if a person was dropped off on the top of Mount Everest without time to acclimate. I don't know the final answer of this disease, but I'm quite sure that a ventilator is not it. That is not to say that we don't need ventilators. We absolutely need them. They are the only way at this time that we're able to give a little more oxygen to patients who need it. But when we treat people with ARDS, we typically use ventilators to treat what's called respiratory failure. That is, we use the ventilator to do the work that the patient's muscles can no longer do because they're too tired to do it. These patients' muscles work fine. I fear that if we are using a false paradigm to treat a new disease, that the method that we program the ventilator, one based on a notion of respiratory failure as opposed to oxygen failure, that this method, and there are a great many number of methods we can use with the ventilator, but this method being widely adopted at this very moment in every hospital in the country, which aims to increase pressure on the lungs in order to open them up, is actually doing more harm than good. And that the pressure we are providing to lungs, we may be providing to lungs that cannot stand it, that cannot take it, and that the ARDS that we are seeing, that the whole world is seeing, may be nothing more than lung injury caused by the ventilator. Now, I don't know the final answer to this disease. I do sense that we will have to use ventilators. We will have to use a great many number of ventilators, and we need a great many number of ventilators, but I sense that we can use them in a much safer way. In a much safer method. That safer method challenges long-held dogmatic beliefs within the medical community and among lung specialists, which will not be easy to overcome. But I really believe that they must be overcome. There are hundreds of thousands of lungs in this country at risk, and the time to overcome them is now. I am confident that if those of us that work bedside with these patients, those of us who are witnessing the things that we have never seen before, despite the many years we have worked and the thousands of patients and diseases we have seen, if we can effectively communicate this to all those that are so important but who are not bedside, the researchers, the administrators, those who procure our resources and make our protocols, the politicians, our own governments, if we are able to convince them that this is a disease that is different than anything we have ever seen, I am confident that an answer can be found, that effective treatments can be discovered, and that a plan to disseminate that treatment can be rapidly deployed, and that tens of thousands and probably hundreds of thousands of lives and lungs will be protected. The time for this is now. We are staring into a future in which a great many of our fellow Americans are going to suffer, not to mention people all around the world. For those who will not suffer directly from this disease, from the terrible human cost of this disease, for those who will not lose a family member or a friend, and there will be a great many number of people who will lose those close to them. But for those who don't, they are still going to suffer from the great economic cost of COVID-19. We are all involved in this future. So I urge you, for those of us, if you are out there, for those who work bedside, I urge you to speak up. We can change this. I thank you all for listening. Please spread the message and stay safe.